Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning is here today to do Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic, Chapter 204 review. Now, okay, the chapter is a lot of talking, a lot of exposition, and it has two halves. The first half is Alibaba stuff. The second half is Aladdin stuff. Now, the first half is funny. It's funny as usual, but it's kind of sad, and I'm starting to believe that in the future, it's probably not going to be more Janet. Now, initially, I believe this, but now I'm like, probably not. And I'm actually going to lean, when it comes towards, like, because I'm not huge on pairings, but when it comes to future relationships in the actual series, I'm going to actually lean now more towards Alibaba and Kyogoku. Yeah, I'm going to go in that direction. And one of the main reasons why, I think you can kind of say it's symbolism, but at the same time, not really. Like, it's like I'm reaching, like I'm super reaching right now. But when you take a look at Orba, I mean, he has a water magic tool, and now he has a fire Jin household vessel. The same magic tool that emits water is also its fire household vessel. So when you take a look at Kyogoku and Alibaba is the metal vessel user or the king vessel user of fire. She's the one of water. So it's the aqua flame combination going on here. Now, obviously, I'm reaching, but I think that's more likely than more Jan and Alibaba. And the reason why is because when it came to her speech about how she was a slave and how she at that point in time, she never thought that she'd be in this position where she'd have a boyfriend or a husband, you know, stuff like that to look forward to. And before then, there was a mental image that we saw, and it was etched out with like a shaded, like a very simple circle. And then I think it was Hakuryu's headgear. Like, it had the thing on top and like the things coming out on the side, and like the long ribbons coming down the side, you know, like that, like the old school Chinese, you know, like that kind of getup, basically, like that kind of headgear. I don't know how to explain it exactly. It's like a hairpin thing, and it's like a long ribbon that goes down to the side. I'm pretty sure that you guys know what I'm talking about. Regardless, we see that headgear on the etched out of the circle, so she's still thinking about Hakuryu. And even though what she's saying does make sense about how she was a slave, that's true, and how she probably, at that point in time, never actually considered having a boyfriend or a husband, and how she needs time to adjust to this, and how in the future she may want to do something with Alibaba because he is a quote-unquote amazing guy. Which is true, because, I mean, he did save her life and helped her to where she is now today. I mean, she is a part of his household. That's very obvious. He's helped her in so many ways. But I just don't see her becoming that individual. And in fact, and I'm not trying to demean Kyogoku as a metal vessel user, but I do believe that she'd be more appropriate. She'd be best suited as his queen. Because I don't see ambition in her. Normally, you gain a king vessel, a metal vessel, for the sake of being the king or the queen of the entire world. So you can lead the world to either prosperity or demise or however you see fit. But with her, I don't see that same ambition like I do Sinbad or Kohen or Alibaba or even Koha. I don't see that. Hakury is a prime example. I don't see that same ambition. She even states that the only reason why she even got the household, the metal vessel, in the first place was to support her family, and that's all Judah helped her. Because he saw potential, and then she thought that she could be of service. So, I see her more on the sidelines, which is kind of strange for someone who has a metal vessel, who has a metal vessel. So, I'm now leaning towards that pairing. Alibaba and Kyogoku, as opposed to the previous one, Alibaba and Morgana. But that's my take on that. But the way it panned out, it was actually pretty funny, because it's like the moment she tells him, "Oh no, I was talking," because he thought that she proposed to him, And he was like, and she was like, no, no, no. I was talking about in the terms of being your household metal vessel user, being a part of your house. I was not talking about like marrying you. And he just goes apeshit. He starts to paw his own hair. He starts freaking out. He goes in the corner. His eyes are bug-eyed. Apparently, Toto is saying how he's like a wounded puppy, and he could even die in this state. I'm like, it's not that serious. But then again, I guess he fears being like the 40-year-old version. Just in this case, I guess like Japanese, Middle Eastern-esque, which is fascinating. But regardless, it winds up being a sword at the end of the day. And in fact, ironically, his boys actually have more respect for him now, which is, again, weird, because it's like, yeah, like, he's always honest, and even though he's, like, he wouldn't try and, you know, pridefully put himself in a, basically, they respect him more, which is weird, okay? It was very weird, because he was freaking out, he was crying and shit, he was, it just threw me off, bro. It was funny, but it threw me off. Regardless, we move on. The next part of the chapter, Aladdin, and Yunan, and surprisingly, Sinbad. Now, the Sinbad no Boken's still going on, so we don't know exactly what occurred in their past between Yunan and Sinbad. But the chapter ends off where apparently there may have been some bad blood between these two individuals, which is shocking, because at this point in the Sinbad no Boken, it looks like Yunan and Sinbad are like best fucking buddies. Now, granted, Yunan is a dude who's been around, or I should say, his consciousness has been around for probably centuries. Which is why, one of the main reasons why, when he came down to meet Aladdin, because apparently Shindoria's light was too great for him, and so he wanted to be in a dark place. And I'm thinking to myself, so they're in a dark place, apparently. Because you can't tell, because it's not drawn that well. Where you can tell if they're in a dark room or not, and it's not a seinen. But we move on, and it was like he came down, and the dude was blushing, and I'm like, why are you blushing? Like, why are you blushing, man? Like, you've been around for centuries. Aladdin's like a young kid, man. He's like 13 years old, and you're blushing. Why? What's going on here, man? Like, what's happening, bro? He comes down, his glasses float towards his hand, automatic blush cheeks. And I'm like, dude, wait, hold up. Whoa. I didn't know you rolled this way. But apparently the dude may roll that way. So I'm not too sure. I'm not. But hey, I'm all for it, okay? You do you. I'm just saying. It threw me off. But fuck it, we move on. One of the main things here that we learn is apparently, because Alibaba was, no. For some reason, I always confuse Alibaba with Aladdin. I don't know why I do that, but I continue to do that throughout all my reviews. Aladdin, he was talking to Yunan, and once he came in there, and apparently the glasses that he has, he's reading this old ancient textbook. But apparently the glasses can like instantly translate the text in his native tongue, which is cool. But apparently, when we found out that Yunan, when he was with Morgiana on their journey, he taught her the Toran language, and she trained underneath other household vessel users throughout their journey. And of course, Yunan assisted with that training as well. So that was very fascinating. And Aladdin has the notion that Yunan's a good guy, and you know, I did too. And then he starts talking. He's like, you know, well, I'm not really that good of a guy. And apparently, we don't know what it is exactly, but all of a sudden, when I guess he senses or he hears Sinbad talking, and apparently he knows that Sinbad's essence, or he can see through one of the birds there. And I'm like, what the? Again, his powers are still, we've only seen, what? 3 of his jinn so far. I believe so, 3. We've seen, of course, you know, the lightning power, which is epic as all hell. We've seen Fokalor, and then we've seen the one where he turns like he turns into like a miniature demon. The one with the sound and the big gun, you know, beer belly and shit. We've seen that one. But apparently now he can like see through birds, or like his essence becomes like the bird. I'm not too sure exactly, but he could basically hear in the conversation that these two Magi were having. And Yunan, he hears that apparently, because apparently he can hear every conversation, more or less, on the island. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, dude, like, what is he, NL? Like, observation hockey up the wazoo? Like, what is going on? But apparently he has those good-ass ears. Anytime. And the thing here is that he doesn't like the fact that Sinbad is listening in on this conversation. And Sinbad says, that's my line, you villain. So, apparently, there's either a conflict of interest here, or there's obviously some kind of history like between these two individuals, and it has been resolved because there's still some kind of, well, actually, there's obvious distrust between these two individuals, which is shocking. Sinbad and Yunan, where in the Sinbad no Boken, recently we saw them together. They were like best buddies. Like, yo, yeah, thanks for saving me. No problem, man. I got you. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see how it goes. But oh, and one more thing. Apparently, Yunan actually knows a lot about the Sacred Palace, or I should say, well, it's called the Sacred Palace or the Room of Fortitude. I don't know, whichever one you want to use. But apparently, Ugo has also favored Yunan, which would explain why his consciousness keeps on coming back every time his body like is destroyed or it's degraded, decayed, that kind of stuff. So how this plays out, I don't know, because Ugo didn't mention Yunan to Aladdin at all. He didn't mention him at all. He didn't say shit. So we need to find out more about this. And maybe one of the textbooks somewhere they'll explain, because he is reading a textbook based on Rook, where he hopes to learn Aladdin. He hopes to learn a lot more about the Rook itself and the Great White Flow. Sounds kind of weird, but nah, think about it. In a way, it sounds kind of sexual, but we move on. And I mean, just take it as you would, to be honest, because at this point in time, Yunan is a big fucking mystery. I mean, Sinbad's still a mystery. Yunan's a mystery, and Aladdin is just sitting here as these two powerhouse dudes are having this falling out, apparently. So, like, I don't know what's happening. But regardless, it is fascinating nonetheless. But I think at this point in time, I'm not too sure if they're going to stick with Shindoria. They may go to Babad, where Aladdin is, where Alibaba is. But what I can say is that this may lead to some kind of conflict during the summit. Because even though the summit, people are not allowed to bring their metal vessels or their household vessels, they're going to bring something. There's going to be some kind of like naval fleet surround the fucking island. There's going to be the Ko Empire on one side, the Rem Empire on the other side, motherfucking Shindoria, huge ass fleets, alright, Inahoho and motherfuckers and households, they're gonna be there. Shit's gonna go down regardless. And this may actually lead to some kind of conflict in the future, where in which they may have to partner up, Sinbad and Yunan, and then they don't, and then something goes awry because they don't partner up. But regardless, it is fascinating, but at this point in time, it's still too vague to make that. It's still too vague to actually make good deductions on what's going to occur at this point in time. So that being said, personally, the chapter, I did like it. It was a good chapter, in my personal opinion. I did feel as if, like, even though it was vague, it is still fascinating. There's still hints there for, towards the future of the story. That's very obvious. The main one, of course, again, being this supposed falling out, this distrust between these two powerhouse individuals, Sinbad. And notice how he said that the light of Shindoria was too strong. So he had to go find a dark place. This proves to you that Sinbad's country is just epic. It's just awesome. Like, his light's too strong. And that's one of the main reasons why Aladdin left the country in the first place. Because he feared being sucked into Sinbad's light, and he would lose his own road. And we even saw it at the beginning where Alibaba, he was so infatuated about doing what Sinbad wanted him to do, and not following his own path. So, again, very fascinating. And even Yunan caught this. But then again, Yunan, he's actually been around Sinbad longer than anyone else here. So, but that's the way it is. So, I'll leave it at that. The chaptering overall, in my personal opinion, I thought it was a good chapter. It was a good chapter? Yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. And I'm done. I mean, a higher rating than I'll normally give it, because But at the same time, I did go somewhat deep. Something kind of, not really, like I didn't plunge into fucking, like on some Sasuke Uchiha, like on some darkness shit, no. But regardless, I did go kind of deep. And I'll give it a good rating because of that reason. And of course, the story progression, because we're now reaching Balbad. And again, the Sinbad and Yuna I've said like 8 times now, but fuck it, move on. I'll see y'all later. Peace. Have a nice day.